Welcome to The Real with Joseph Ladman. I am Joseph Ladman. Thank you for tuning in this episode of The Real. Taking time out of your day to come watch this episode. I really appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe for me. I'd really appreciate that as well. That's the best way you can support this channel and help me grow my content and grow this channel to where I'd like it to be. Everybody hit the like button for me on the way in on this video today. That also helps promote this video more in the algorithms, helps grow this channel more as well. Please share this content. I would really appreciate that. My guests would as well. If you would please share this episode with someone you know that maybe is interested in the topic we're talking about today. Please leave a comment below as well. We'd love to hear your guys' feedback. You can interact with myself and the guest on the panel and the live chat as well. Whatever we're talking about, just leave a comment there in the live chat. Pop in and say hello. We'll put it on the screen for you. And yeah, without further ado, let's get to the show. Woo, man. Welcome back to The Real with Joseph Ladman. I am Joseph Ladman. Happy Monday to you guys. NBA free agency has begun, so we're going to get into it today. We're going to get into the Cleveland Cavaliers, some other NBA news on the back end. We got some Paul George on the move, Klay Thompson on the move. I'm going to give my take on what I really think is going on in LA as well. That's going to be interesting, but welcome on into The Real. Like I said, like, subscribe, share, all the good stuff you haven't already, if you please would. It's the best way you can support this channel. Leave a comment below after today's show. Everybody smash the like button right now. And subscribe. It's the best way you can support your channel and you help your boy out. You know what I mean? So, but welcome on in. Let's get into the Cavs. Kenny Atkinson, the new Cavs head coach, spoke today to the media, his introductory press conference. I got 3 clips I'm going to play from the press conference that really are interesting to me. Kenny's philosophy about both the guards with Donovan and Darius, how he sees those two playing together, and also the most important one to me, which is how does he see Jared Allen and Evan Mobley playing together in the front court. And so I'm going to play both of those. And I also got another clip from him today, the third clip, which will be Kenny Atkinson talking about Evan Mobley. And just you could tell the excitement for Evan Mobley he has, but also I think the ways he'll utilize him, which I've shared on this show in the last week, in a couple weeks, about different ways I think he will utilize him, more kind of that stretch 5, which could mean there could be a trade the Cavs may have to do. And so I'm going to get into that here in a second. But before I get into the trade, hey, get my man up here today. The man, the myth, the legend, Mike Antonis joining the show. Mike, what's happening?
Hello, beautiful people. Not much is happening on this. It's a really nice day out today in beautiful, cozy Ohio. But just kind of chilling at the domicile today. Been a long week, been working a lot. But otherwise, yeah, how have you been doing, Joseph? You having a good day so far?
Yeah, good day. Went ran some errands, got the grass cut. Got some stuff done and ate some lunch now. And then I'm sitting here reading some articles, Mike, and I was listening to Kenny Atkinson talk today to the media, and I think it might be some weird stuff going on, Cleveland. Mike, what are your? Well, I'll start with this. A lot of people are wondering right now. There's a lot of silence going on with the Cavs, right?
Yes, it's very.
Everybody
annoying.
expects Donovan Mitchell to re-sign. Donovan Mitchell is going to re-sign. I think it's been done. That's not a thing to me. However, what else could really be going on? Are they really just running it back with the core 4 and thinking that's good enough to compete with Boston and now Philly and New York? And I'll start there. What is your thought as a fan, just an outsider, of what the silence could mean?
I mean, I hope it means that something's actually brewing behind the scenes. I hope it's not like, hey, all we needed was coaching, because I really don't think that was it. Like, yeah, I think JB reached kind of the ceiling that he could reach. And, I'm really glad he got another job because he deserves it. He was a huge, big part of the turnaround. I'm hoping that trade is indeed brewing, as I love Jared Allen. Do not get me wrong. Love the guy. He's been a great player for us. Great guy too, but we need more scoring ability, and moving Evan to the 5. If Evan can actually gain some weight, get a little bit stronger, keep working on his shot, I think he could be a great stretch 5. And I think Brandon Ingram would be a great forward to complement that. But I hope, man, that it means something's brewing and not just we're just going to run it back. Because the East is just getting better and better. Now, does Paul George going to the Sixers move the needle all that much for me? I don't know. But the biggest thing is, like, can our team as constructed right now beat Boston? I don't think so.
No, I don't think they can
Can
beat
our team as
Boston.
constructed right now beat a healthy Bucks? Because the Bucks were playing well, but everybody forgets they didn't have Giannis in the playoffs. He was hurt.
Well, you got
But
the Bucks. You got the Knicks are better. You
the
got
Knicks, oh yeah,
and the
the
last time
Knicks
we
loaded
played
up.
the Knicks, it didn't go well. So that's
No,
two
and they
teams
just
that
added
got a
Mikal Bridges, re-signed
yeah,
OG Anunoby. I mean, they still have Julius Randle, who was hurt. I mean, they still have. I didn't
Mitchell
even mention
Robinson.
Mitchell Robinson. We neither of us have even mentioned their best weapon, and that's Brunson. Like,
Right.
can we compete with them? I don't know if we can. Like,
Not
that's
right
the
now.
issue. Is
I
yeah,
don't think
right.
I don't think right now with this roster with the core four and how unbalanced they are, they can't compete with Milwaukee. They can't compete with Boston. They can't compete with Philly. They can't compete with New York. And that's what 5 teams right there. So
Yeah.
I mean, Indiana made it to the conference finals. They're not some slouch team, and
No, and they're super
they got a
young too.
yeah, they're young. They got a bigger point guard and Tyrese Halliburton. They got some Wayne's Siakam's coming back. I mean, the Cavs right now are a borderline play-in team, in my opinion, and so they got to shake this up and make a move. Now, I like the draft pick of Jalen Tyson. I broke that down the other day why I like him, and I think by the end of the year he can crack the rotation and be a good impact player. But they still got to go do more. And so the reason why I brought this up the other day or just now on the screen, could there be a big trade brewing? What's this silence we're hearing coming out of Independence? Or not hearing, but the silence from Independence. Could there be a big trade brewing? I brought up the Jared Allen for Brandon Ingram. And the reason why I bring this up is because Brandon Ingram has, for a while now, been linked to the Cavs for a trade. The New Orleans Pelicans were looking for a point guard. So there was talks about maybe Darius going there for Brandon Ingram. I wasn't a big fan of that trade in particular, but it doesn't matter now because the Atlanta Hawks ended up trading DeJounte Murray to the New Orleans Pelicans. So now they don't need a point guard anymore. But they still really like Jared Allen a lot. And they think Jared Allen alongside Zion Williamson with their newly acquired DeJounte Murray. They still got CJ McCollum. They really like Jared Allen a lot in New Orleans. And they've even made that clear. That's what they want for Brandon Ingram. And so as you can see here from the other day, Cleveland continues to be monitored. Quote: Cleveland continues to be Cleveland continues to be mentioned by league personnel as a possible alternative for Ingram, but there's no straightforward path to make such a deal work with the Cavaliers. While the Cavaliers hold interest in Ingram and value his skill set, sources said, Cavs personnel have maintained a reluctance to break up the team's core of Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen as NBA figures continue preparing for Mitchell to sign a lucrative extension. What does it say? This is from a writer, Jake Fisher, I believe, continued to forward, mentioning that Allen will likely be the piece that the Pelicans would want to be included, as long as he's been interested as a trade asset. So, to me, Mike, and I'm gonna play the clips from Kenny Atkinson first today, and we'll go back and recap this because I thought what Kenny Atkinson said today, to me, when he was asked about the bigs, asked about the guards, asked about Evan Mobley, and you kind of just know the system he's going to be running more of that Golden State kind of spread offense. It's kind of what he's going to be running here. He even said it today. And you look at his past too. I just think I don't know if Evan Mobley and Jared Allen work together, Mike, in this new system. And I also think
Right.
when you look at how to beat Boston, you have to have a big that can play inside. Your 5-man has to be able to play inside and out against Boston. When Evan Mobley was at the 5 that last game, he dominated. He had 30-something points, almost double-digit boards. He was out there cooking. And so I get Porzingis didn't play, but I still think Evan was doing his thing. I mean, to me, to beat Boston, you have to have an inside out big. And so I just don't know if those two could work. I think you can still make. I get defensively, and I've been I've been saying it for a long time. The two smaller guards defensively, uh, but there's a lot of teams nowadays that have smaller guards defensively. I mean, some of those, like Drew Holiday's a great defender, obviously. So, but I think you can get away with it with if you have the right offensive system, I think the more offense so that's can combat the lack of defense. But
Hmm.
if you have more length out on the perimeter with like a let's say a Brandon Ingram, maybe you gotta get another piece out on the perimeter. Now you can kind of not you know force so many guys inside attack your bigs. This is why at times in the past, you look at some of the playoff games, Evan Mobley and Jared Allen are in foul trouble. It's because people just get to the basket at will. You know what I mean? They're just attacking our guard. But I think if you have more perimeter defenders, you can switch around matchups. You know what I mean? It gives you more versatility defensively.
Right.
And so, but I think offensively, the best way for them to be effective, which you saw in the regular season, when either Jared Allen or Evan Mobley was if one of them was out and the other one was at the 5, that's when that offense looked the best.
I agree. I mean, we were out Jared Allen and Darius Garland for a stretch, and that Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Max Strus, and I think they had Okoro out there.
Yeah, Coro and Levert.
I mean, we went on a like 10-game win streak or something disgusting like that. We had the best road record in the NBA.
Yeah.
Like sometimes like you can have the NBA is weird in that you can't just like add good players and expect to be good. It has to work, and unfortunately, I just I don't think the current iteration is working at the moment. And I kind of warmed up to the idea of trading off Darius or Jarrett, like as much as I like these players, for a whole as the team to get better. I think Brandon Ingram would do that. I think there were a couple guys like I even would have liked like a better 6-man, like a Sadiq Bey or something like that. But I'm hoping they're cooking something, bro, because all the silence is getting me a little worried.
Yeah, I think too, like I said, if you really want to judge how they need to beat Boston, is look at that last game in the playoff series when Evan was at the 5.
Yeah.
And you look at the recipe at times when they struggle, the teams gave them fits in the playoffs. So it's because when you had a big that could play inside and out, Philly is a legit threat to them now because they have a win on the outside now that can knock down shots, create his own shot. And Embiid is arguably the best big in the league. He can play inside and out. You know what I mean? He's going to give them problems. He has more help now too. So I think the Cavs have the opportunity to do that by putting Evan at the 5. And I thought, too, it was interesting when they hired Kenny Atkinson, transitioned to Kenny, which kind of goes with all this. Stay with us, folks. When they hired Kenny Atkinson, the day Woj put that out, they mentioned in the article his, one of the reasons why the Cavs liked him was his plan and idea to utilize Evan Mobley, and they put him as a center. They listed Evan as a center. And I thought that might have been by design. You know what I mean? That because they put that in the article, and Woj is going to put in there what they tell him to put. So he's reporting. That's what his job is. So I thought that was interesting too. And so here's Kenny Atkinson today at the introductory press conference, Mike, and he's asked here by Chris Fedor. Shout out to Chris Fedor. He's asked here about what his plan is for both of the bigs, Jared and Evan.
Nowadays.
Yeah, you're right. The league is changing, right? The league is changing fast. It's a faster league. There's no doubt about it. I will say our kind of unique situation here, we got 2 bigs that are fast. They're just not big guys. They're knowing Jared really well. I mean, that was the thing to track. He can really get him. Evan is a 400-meter sprinter. Like he's got incredible speed for his size. I will say my experience in Golden State, I think, is going to really help. We played, Draymond and Looney together a lot. We won a lot of series like that. So knowing how to use those 2 is going to be important because we want to keep that defensive identity. We want to keep that base. That's so important. Now it's and part of my job is when we figure out how can we get those guys, that group with the 2 bigs to be more efficient offensively.
And so your reaction to what he said there, Mike?
I mean, from what he's saying, it's sounding like he doesn't want to get rid of either of them.
Possibly. I think I get what you're saying because he has to say that because technically they're both under contract. But I will remind people, though, go back to 2014 when the Cavs drafted Andrew Wiggins. I get it's a little different, but they had David Blatt come up there and talk about his plan for Andrew Wiggins. He was traded 2 weeks later. So, you know, what I mean,
Right.
I thought what stood out to me though is the way he talked about Evan, and he continues this. If you watch this whole thing today, he really was like drooling about Evan and just like the way that he wants to use Evan, which I'm gonna play here in a second. But I just think too. Obviously, I know his relationship with Jared Allen; they know each other. I just think though, the way he's talking about more of the versatility of the spread. He's mentioning spread. You look at what they did in Golden State too. When did
Mhm.
Golden State win that last time? When they went out and got an Andrew Wiggins, a Wayne, and they
Yeah.
put him at and they got that Draymond played more of the 5 against Boston, and they won a championship off of that. He was on that staff, and so I get it. I'm not saying Jared's out of here. I think we're both. And you said there, you think maybe he's referencing they might stay. They're giving the signal the Cavs are that they're gonna keep the core 4. I just don't think with the new system.
How well it'll actually work.
How well it could actually work. And I think all the smoke around Brandon Ingram that keeps happening, to me, it just makes more sense to go out and get a 6'8" wing in that system that could shoot a 3, create his own shot, and gives you more
Right.
length defensively. You know what I mean? I
Right.
think Kenny knows that. I think, obviously they can't say everything because they're in the middle. They could be in the middle of a trade negotiation behind the scenes. We just we don't know. They got to act a certain way. But I just find the way he keeps talking about Evan, to me, really stands out. And going back to that article where he said, when he first got hired, Woj put in there Evan Mobley listed as a 5. And so here's the next part, though, Mike, because another piece of this puzzle, which I mentioned in my last show that I thought could be the piece possibly that could trigger a lot of things, was Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell's a clutch client. Donovan Mitchell, there's been reports that when Donovan, or not Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, excuse me. Darius Garland's a clutch client. And there's been a lot of reports that when Darius Garland, I keep getting them mixed up. When Donovan Mitchell signs his extension, Darius Garland, there we go, could ask for a trade. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that anymore because I don't think I thought the Lakers were the only team that could do that, to be honest with you. If he did force trade, that's going to be to LA. I don't think the Lakers are going to go after Garland now. I think they're transitioning to Zach LaVine and more guys like that based on what I've seen today, where everything's headed. LeBron's about to take the max deal now. So I don't see Darius going anywhere now. And I think here he is here. I'll let you decide. I think he talks more confidently about the backcourt. He even mentioned something here as well, Mike. He's spoken with Darius Garland since he's gotten hired. So here he is on the backcourt today.
Daryl Ryder, 92.3 The Fan. Kenny, welcome to Cleveland.
Thank you.
Off of Chris's question, I'll ask you about the two guards, Donovan and Darius. There's a lot of external conversation about those two players elevating their games, more so Darius than Donovan. So how do you get with the two bigs and basically the core 4 on the floor together? How do you have them all singing and dancing at the same time?
Well, that's what they're going to pay me for here. You have four all-star. Evan will be an all-star. I think we all know that. So you got 4 all-stars. We got to make it work, and that's part of the reason I'm here. I've already spoken to Darius multiple times, and I'm just a huge fan. I mean, I can't tell you how many times he destroyed us when we were in Brooklyn. He's obviously a great shooter, excellent, underrated passer. So it seems like something that when you have multiple ball handlers, and again, I'll hark back to my Golden State experience. Steph and Jordan Poole. Like you have a lot of pieces, but the talent's there. So it's just we're going to work on tweaking this where we maximize those guys. But I just love both of them together, quite honestly.
And you come in, as you were asked about, to bring this to the next level.
Yeah.
What is it about how you develop relationships with your players that has made you so successful over the years?
How many single family?
That's not the question we really care about, anyways. But you heard what he said there, Mike. Though going back to Darius Garland, He's spoken to Darius multiple times. Number one, the first thing that stood out to me in that clip there, the next question we just played was what he was asked about the backcourt. What did he do? He went back to Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley, he said, Evan Mobley, quote, will be an all-star. So I thought that was interesting. He keeps referencing to Evan. And
should have been an all-star last year, honestly.
Possibly. Well, I don't know about last year. I think Jared Allen maybe more of a case last year. Because I don't think Evan played enough games. But he's spoken to Darius multiple times. I think his vision for the backcourt is kind of similar to what Golden State did with their backcourt players, with Jordan, especially when they had like Jordan Poole, which he referenced in today. Your take there, what he said about the backcourt and how he made that reference about Evan Mobley as well.
Yeah, no, I'm excited since he's used to really in Golden State having dominant guards, ball dominant guards like Steph, like Jordan Poole, like Klay to a lesser extent. I think his experience with that is going to help a lot, considering like that's our main scoring capability is from Darius and Donovan. And him just going back to Evan, I mean, obviously, if he does in fact become a stretch five, like with how athletic Evan is and how good of a dribbler he is for as tall as he is, I think that just kind of opens a whole new kind of can of worms for the Cavs that I'd be excited to see how it actually plays out. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. That's what that's telling me is he's used to having ball dominant scoring guards, and that was kind of his like portfolio. And like the more that I read up on Kenny and his time at Golden State, the more it kind of makes sense why the Cavs decided to go with him, because he is used to that, and the Cavs are closer to win now than most other teams.
They kind of remind me of where Golden State was coming out of 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
You remember Golden State had two backcourt guys, and they had a big up front Draymond who had some versatile skills, and it took Steve Kerr took over and took it to the next level. I think he's been under Steve Kerr's tutelage for the last 3 years. I think he's going to use a lot of that same philosophy, which he referenced a lot to today, just what he learned from Steve Kerr, how he's going to use a lot of the same philosophies. And I think their Cavs are kind of in the same position, but I just think in order for them to really maximize it, like I said, he talked more about the backcourt, like more definitively than he did the front court. You know what I mean? Like
right.
he felt more comfortable, like this is what we're going to do. I thought when he talked about the front court, he was kind of just like, I know Jared, they're both fast, but he's really referencing more to Evan, in my opinion. And I just think that's why I keep saying it. Could there be a big trade brewing because with the Pelicans, for Ingram, because I just feel like it may be more of a better fit with his offense, and just that really might take to the next level too, especially to compete against teams like Boston. So here he is today when asked about Evan Mobley, what his plan is for Evan Mobley. I found this to be kind of interesting.
And push a guy to get to the next level.
Jason Lloyd, The Athletic.
Hey,
just with Evan specifically, what have you seen from him offensively that you like? And what else is there to get? How do you get more?
It's he's so multi-talented, right? And so that was a big part of our discussion, right? And during the process, how to get him to the next level. And I think, first of all, he's 22 years old, so he's just naturally going to grow. So that's exciting just with the talent. But I do think we can schematically get the ball in his hands more, quite honestly. And it's going to be in multiple ways. I think when you have a guy that versatile, it could be him in transition, bringing the ball up. It could be him handling in a 5-out situation more, him handling and pick and roll. I think there's creative things we can do to help him. And I know I've spoke with him. He's excited about it. But there's definitely just his general usage, I think can go up, and we have to figure out, the best positions to put him in. But it's like I can't wait to get on that task, because I know that's a big part of us, taking that next step we're talking about.
Your take on that, Mike, because I got a lot of stuff from that.
Well, I've only got one take. I'm excited that they're actually going to prioritize Evan in the offense. That's all I got, and that's what I'm excited about. It seems like JB just really had an allergy to doing that. So if he's going to prioritize that and try and find new, unique ways to get Evan the ball, I'm all for it.
I'm gonna play this one. The follow-up question to that actually from Jason's pretty good. I'm gonna play this real quick, Mike, and I'm gonna come back and give my take on this.
Does Evan have to be the best player on this team to be a championship contender?
Not
Or can you
necessarily.
do it with Donovan?
Can do it with Donovan. He's MVP. You got one MVP, and I think that's the league, right? It used to be you used to have to have three. I'm not sure what it is. I don't think it's
What's the number
working.
now?
Yeah, I don't, you look at other teams like that's not necessarily the model, but like you said, you got a top 15. But my thing is, I don't know where Donovan ranks in that. Are you getting him into the, like my job is like, let's get you into the top 15. And what's great about this situation is like the roster that's in place. There's enough. There's enough to take that next step. No doubt about it. But Evan's a big piece of that. And I'm going to feel a huge responsibility to help him get to that, top 15, top 20, whatever it is. And who knows, top 5, why not? Like with the skill level and the athleticism and the human being, I don't see why we can't.
Safe to say Kenny Atkinson is a big time Evan Mobley fan, right, Mike?
I could see that, yeah.
There's a lot of things I took from that from that answer there. So first thing, I'm gonna go back to the first part of the question he was asked about Evan. There's 3 things that stood out to me in that first part. He mentioned Evan's versatility and how you could use him. He's multifaceted. You can use him in many different ways. To me, that means he's a 4 and a 5. He also mentioned the words 5 out and using Evan as a more ball handler and 5 out, kind of similar to what you see like other bigs like Embiid do, Jokic, Draymond in Golden State, even at times. Draymond's a more traditional center. He's more of a power forward. You know what I mean? Like more putting guy at a 5 and using him more in that 5 out spread as more as a playmaker, a ball handler, doing dribble handoffs, doing more pick and roll stuff, doing more all kinds of different things you can do with that. You know what I mean? And so, and I think the last part that spoke to me, which kind of goes with Donovan, Darius, and Evan, he said he spoke to all 3 of them. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I did not hear this guy say one time that he has a relationship with Jared Allen. I didn't hear this guy say one time that he's spoken to Jared Allen. And any of those clips there I played, Mike, did you ever hear him say he spoke to Jared Allen?
No, he just spoke briefly about how,
His time with him in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But he said he spoke to Darius multiple times. He spoke to he was with Donovan last week at his camp. The Cavs were there too. Which, yeah, I mean, if anybody's doubting Donovan coming back, the Cavs were at his camp last week in LA. He's coming back. But anyways, he's met with Donovan. He's spoken to Evan Mobley a few times. I've never heard this guy today say he spoke with Jared Allen at all, and that's his guy. And so, but again, all that to me, how he keeps talking about Evan Mobley being, he said they're hell, why not even a top 5 player one day? Why not? Or let's get you in the top 15. He's going to be an all-star. I just think, Mike, this is all heading towards, I think Jared Allen could be on the way out of here. I just don't think, like you and I have said, they can't run it back with the core 4. And I know people are going to say, well, Donovan doesn't want Jared to go. Well, I mean, I don't know if Donovan gets the final say on what they do roster-wise. And could that be PR? Who knows? I'm just speculating here, but I don't know.
I mean, right, it very well could be.
It could have just been PR, and I think Donovan's going to agree with what's best for the team. And so, and I think him and Kenny Atkinson and him have a pretty good relationship already. So,
right.
And I don't think Donovan and Darius, there's like this beef or they can't play with each other. I don't think there's any of that at all. I don't see that. Do you?
No.
No, yeah, I don't either. And so it goes back. Now you guys heard all the clips today. It goes back to the original point. Could there be a big trade brewing in Cleveland? I brought up this about Brandon Ingram. I read this earlier. Some people tuning in now about how the Cavs have constantly been mentioned to Brandon Ingram as a possible trade asset. And so I did a trade myself, and I came up with doing some more digging, looking at some other teams around the league. Well, if you get rid of Jared Allen, Mike, you still need another big, right? You want a preferably younger big, who's a good rebounder defensively. You know what I mean? Maybe you get him in
Yeah.
a three. Maybe you could do a 3-team deal where it's the Pelicans, the Cavs, and let's say the Cavs get Ingram, the Cavs get Ingram. Jared Allen goes to the Pelicans. Maybe you get a third team involved, or do a side trade. And how about the 22-year-old Walker Kessler? Walker Kessler is a 7-footer, very versatile big man, had a phenomenal rookie year. Last year, coming out of his rookie year, didn't have the best year, so they're a little down on him. You can see here in the quotes, rival teams believe Utah is willing to engage in trade talks that would part ways with Jazz second-year center Walker Kessler. And it goes on to talk about how, excuse me, you can see there, Kessler finished as a Rookie of the Year runner-up after a dominant display on defensive end of the floor, essentially taking the role of the team's interior anchor with the departure of Rudy Gobert. However, after a somewhat turbulent sophomore season, Utah may be looking to market and pivot off their young big man. So a guy like Walker Kessler, who was the runner-up Rookie of the Year 2 years ago, Mike, he's only 22 years old. He's a 7-footer. You can bring him in here. And why would I bring him up in a trade talk? Because back in May, the restricted free agent right now, Isaac Okoro, this is from Bleacher Report's Andy Bailey, the Utah Jazz most realistic option this offseason, the Cleveland Cavaliers' guard forward, Isaac Okoro. Okoro, who has been much of an offensive player, may be a realistic option for the Jazz. We're just hoping he's not the only option. But he's been linked to the Jazz a few times. And he makes sense for the Jazz. You look at the Utah Jazz situation, they don't have a wing like Isaac, and they're looking to move off of Mr. Kessler. If you're the Cavs and you get rid of Jared Allen, you bring in Brandon Ingram, you still need a 7-footer. Either he comes off the bench, you may even start on some nights. He still gives you that defensive anchor as well. Walker Kessler, I mean, you see there, he was a runner-up at Rookie of the Year. He was a defensive anchor on the floor. He had a bad sophomore year, but he's in Utah. I mean, poor guy. Probably wants to get the hell out of there. It's cold, really cold there, and yeah, a lot of guys struggle their second year. I'm not that worried about that. I think in a new situation, especially here, I think this guy would actually really love you watch his tape. Not LeBron. But you could see there, yeah, Isaac Okoro is a restricted free agent, Mike. I could see a scenario where you do maybe a sign and trade, and maybe you send Isaac and swap for Walker Kessler. If they want to dump him, maybe some pick swaps involved as well. So now, and I have the trade done here. I did it earlier on the trade machine. Let me pull it up here. Give me uno momento, Mike.
Uno momentous.
1 second. I gotta get rid of this. Okay. Share screen. So here's the trade machine. I broke this trade down earlier, and here's how it works. Can you see that, Mike?
Yes.
So here's how the trade works. It'd be Brandon Ingram to the Cavs, Walker Kessler to the Cavs. The Cavs will send Isaac Okoro to the Utah Jazz, and basically a sign and trade type of thing. And Jared Allen or Isaac would opt in, and he goes to the Jazz and gets a new deal. Whoever has to work, they would also pick up Walker Kessler's team option as well. And then the Cavs will send Jared Allen to the New Orleans Pelicans. Your thoughts, Mike?
I'm not terribly familiar with Walker Kessler's game, but I mean, that would certainly, I mean, if we're just looking for someone to get some boards in place when Evan sits down, if we move Evan to the 5, I'd be all for it. It would make sense because I don't think we're going to pay Okoro long term. He's, one of our designated 6 men.
Yeah, and plus you just drafted a guy who's 6'7". You're bringing in Brandon Ingram. I just don't see where Okoro really has an opportunity in the rotation.
Right.
Anymore. So that's why I said, well, if Utah wants him, and Utah has a young, because when I look for a center, I want somebody that's still young and has some upside. You know what I mean? And does Walker Kessler does some of the similar things, kind of where Jared Allen was early on in his career. So you're essentially possibly getting a younger version of Jared Allen again, but you're also you're bringing in the all-star, perennial all-star kind of wing guy who maybe Brandon Ingram could be in the East. He has that kind of talent. You're bringing in that wing you need as well.
Right. And yeah, no, I'd be all for that, especially Brandon Ingram. I think Brandon Ingram would make this team a whole hell of a lot better. I really, really do.
Yeah, I like this trade a lot. That's why I did that today. I went and looked around, like, who's a big man? Because if you get rid of Jared, Obviously, New Orleans wants Jared Allen. You know what I mean? But you still got to have a big man out there. You got to have one on your roster. I think you got to replace him in some way. The free agent market for big man isn't great right now. A lot of the good ones are already signed away. So that's why I brought up that scenario. If you go get Brandon Ingram, why not send Isaac Okoro to the Utah Jazz? Like you saw in the article I showed there, Mike. They like Isaac Okoro in Utah. He fits kind of what they need.
Right.
Why not do a opt in and trade him and swap guys with Walker Kessler and him and bring in Walker Kessler over here? Now you got a new 7-footer who's young and upside, 22 years old, was a runner-up rookie of the year 2 years ago. Why not?
Right. No,
I just think based off of Kenny Atkinson's comments today, how he's talked about Evan Mobley, and just the way he spoke to, he mentioned he spoke to Darius, spoke to Donovan, spoke to Evan. But I didn't hear him speak to or mention that he spoke to Jared Allen at all. Maybe he has. I didn't hear it. Put it in the comment below if you did hear him say that and put the reference to it. But I just think the way the offense is going to go, where they have to go to compete in the East and compete with a team like Boston and now Philly, who's gotten better today, I think you kind of have to make this move. Because who do they have out on the wing right now?
I mean,
that's like a legit, like tall 6'8". They don't have anybody.
No, they don't.
You can't put Max Strus out there. That's a nightmare.
Yeah, it has been.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nightmare. You cannot run it back with the core 4 and Max Strus at the 3 trying to guard Paolo Banchero. Paolo Banchero just shot over him every time like it was shooting over a chair. Jason Tatum, the same thing. Jaylen Brown cooked him. I mean, Paul George now is at the with Philadelphia. The Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby. These guys are all just they would torch. You know what I mean? They would torch that guy. You can't roll with that. And all it does is put more pressure on your bigs.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't see why would Kobe Allen want to bring this core 4 back? Like, I mean, is it just out of pride? I mean,
part of me wants to say like money and assets. I don't know if pride's the real thing.
Because I say pride because sometimes GMs
I know.
They don't want to give it up, and sometimes that's their downfall.
Right. Yeah, part of me would just pretty much kind of ascertain money and assets, but like I don't know. That's what's got me concerned is just all the silence. I hope we do something.
Yeah, gotta do something. I hope. I hope if you're watching this trade come out and you go out and get Brandon Ingram or Walker Kessler, you heard it here first. But
yes,
we'll do a little rapid fire real quick, Mike, before we get out of here. Paul George today, Mike, signed with the Philadelphia 76ers. We kind of already talked about it, but I think it's a phenomenal signing for Philly. They've elevated. They're now a legit contender to compete with Boston. They got that inside-out big, like I talked about, maybe the most dominant one in the league. And Embiid, the former 2-time MVP. Is he 2-time MVP? Or no, 1-time MVP?
1 time.
And now they got an elite wing in Paul George, Tyrese Maxey. They brought in Eric Gordon, a shooter. Andre Drummond's a nice pickup for them. Philly's looking nice now, Mike. Your thoughts on Paul George to the 76ers?
Yeah, I mean, Paul George is a real great player. Adding him to the Sixers is going to make them a more fun team to watch. It's just like, can the NBA's version of Dak Prescott and Joel Embiid show up in the playoffs is the real question. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. I think they'll do well. I think they'll probably finish a top 3 to 4 team in the East. Health wise, you don't know because both those guys have had health issues in their career, Embiid and George. So, real quick before we move off of Paul George, is the Clippers trade now officially the worst trade in NBA history? Considering all they gave up, they lost SGA, they lost SGA. Jalen Williams was a draft pick. There's a lot of draft pick. And the OKC still has first-round picks from that deal.
I mean, just seeing... I mean, I don't think anybody... I mean, I knew Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was going to be a good player. I don't think anybody foresaw him being, like, MVP finalist, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't... I know I definitely didn't see that out of that kid at first. So... I mean, worst? They I think there are some that could be classified as worse than that, but it's definitely one of the worst. It's more of a surprise to me that it never worked out. It just felt like at one point Kawhi was hurt, at another point Paul George was hurt. It's actually kind of sad that it never worked out because I actually expected that team to win something.
When they got together in 19, they had Lou Will at the time, who was still playing pretty well. They had Montrezl Harrell as the sixth man of the year. They had a team at that time. You go back when they signed those guys 5 years ago. I agree with you. I thought they were going to win a championship. I thought they could have been like the next, maybe win a couple back to back. You know what I mean? Like I thought they could have had, because Kawhi was just coming off that dominant performance against the Warriors in the finals too.
Yeah, he willed the Raptors to their one and only championship.
Yeah, I mean everything was buzzing. Everything looked good. The Lakers are kind of falling apart. You know, they got Anthony Davis, but they were still kind of a mess. You just thought the Clippers had it going on. They had the coach, Doc Rivers was the coach at that time, and you just thought, man, they put this all together. They could make a run win a couple championships out of this, but it just never worked because of health and just circumstances. And now you look back at that trade now, and it's just like, geez, they give up that much. And the worst part about it too, they got nothing for Paul George.
Right.
They didn't do a sign and trade. They just walked. Right. And it's like, here they are now.
I think it's one of those things where like looking like hindsight's 2020, right? Like does it look bad now? Yes. At the time, I thought it was a pretty decent. I mean, they had to do something, right? And at least they were trying to do something to try and win. It just never materialized, you know?
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
I can't blame them for making the trade because, like, who wouldn't want Kawhi Leonard and Paul George on their team? You know what I mean?
Oh, at that time, I didn't have a problem with the trade. It's just you look back at it now, it was a failure. It was you look back at that trade, it's like that might have been one of the worst. It's like when Russell Wilson went to the Broncos. When they did the deal, you're kind of like, I get why they did the deal. You thought Russell Wilson would go to Denver and help elevate them.
I feel like I was the most sane man in an asylum when that happened, though, to be fair. Because I said on this show, y'all can go back and watch, before the season even started, as soon as the trade materialized, I was saying that it won't work. I was the one man when national media was telling you, oh, Kansas City's got competition now. I was the one man saying this ain't going to work. It's going to be a train wreck.
Yeah. I remember, and I thought it was okay. I didn't have a problem with them doing the deals. What I'm saying,
yeah,
because I understood why they did it. They had to make a move, just like the Browns had to make a move that offseason too.
Yeah,
but because where those teams were with the quarterbacks they had, they were never gonna get more than a divisional round at best, if even that. So I get why the teams did, but you look back at that trade now as well, because they didn't really get much out of it. They didn't, and they lost a lot from it. I mean, that trade, it's kind of similar to me in some ways. And so, you thought it was going to be one thing going in, and then injuries or circumstance. Like in that case with Russell Wilson, it was more of just the coaching and just the front office. He did not get along with them. And both his coaches. I mean, Nathaniel Hackett's not the greatest coach, in my opinion. I think he's kind of he wouldn't be my head coach or my OC. That's just me. And Sean Payton's kind of hard to get along with at times, and I don't think he really liked Russ to begin with. But
John the Pain Payton,
yeah. But it's similar. You look at with them now, the Clippers. I mean, it's interesting and see where they go now. They got James Harden and Kawhi Leonard now, so that's interesting. But Klay Thompson though, Mike.
Yeah, that's weird.
Klay Thompson to the Dallas Mavericks on a 3-year deal. I think it's like $30 million.
50.
I think it's a phenomenal pickup for Dallas. You look at what they need. When you go back and watch the final series, they got a big and lively, who I think is really good. You got, obviously, Kyrie and Luka have figured out how to play with each other. They desperately need another wing in that finals, and somebody who can knock down a shot. I know Klay's older, but I think a lot of what you've seen from Klay in the last couple of years, him and Mike Dunleavy Jr., the new GM and Warrior with the Golden State Warriors, they didn't really get along. They're not like, they didn't have the best relationship, not like him and Bob Myers. And I just think too, I think when you watch Klay the last 2 years, I don't think he's fell off that much, because he could shoot a basketball like anybody else. He's never going to forget how to shoot he could still shoot. You look at his numbers last year, he still shot the ball almost 40% from the three. he can have and I think he's averaged like 18 points. He's fine. I just think it's more of a mental thing with him in Golden State why that didn't work out at the end.
Right.
And he was asked what the whole thing was. He wanted the third year in his contract. They weren't willing to give it to him. And
Right.
he was seeing guys like Andrew Wiggins get paid, seeing guys like Jordan Poole get paid when he was there, pool party, seeing Draymond get paid. And I think Klay just felt disrespected. I think just mentally, you could just see that throughout the year. His confidence is kind of used. I think he was just checked out.
No,
And
I
so,
agree with that. I don't
think.
know.
I think Klay still got a lot left in the tank. He still believes he can be an all-star again. I'm not saying I don't know if I believe that, but
yeah, I was about to say.
but if he thinks that, though, I think he thinks health-wise, I think he feels pretty good. I think he knows I can still help a contending team. And
Yeah.
so I think him on the Dallas is a great match. I mean, you got two great ball handlers, playmakers. They got some good role pieces. I know they lost Derrick Jones Jr., but I mean, you just replaced him with Klay Thompson, who's a 4-time NBA champion, one of the greatest shooters of all time.
Right.
I like this deal a lot, Mike. I think he made the smart move of telling the Lakers to piss off. I never thought he was going to Lakers to begin with. I think that's all smoke. I'm gonna get into that in a minute. But your thoughts on Klay Thompson to the Mavericks?
Yeah, I certainly think it makes him better. I don't know. See, I don't think Dallas is gonna make it to the NBA Finals again anytime soon. I really don't. I think they're trying, which is, I don't blame them for doing. I still think that's going to be Minnesota's conference, especially with how good they got recently.
They got even better in the draft.
They got way better in the draft. So, and with Anthony Edwards just having another year under his belt, like Anthony Edwards is going to be the face of the league very soon, if not already. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame them for doing it, but quick side question for you. Now that Klay's gone, how much longer do you think Steph's got before he hangs up the shoes?
Let me look at his contract. Pull that up because that'll kind of give me an idea. It's an interesting question because he's in his 30s now.
He's done it all.
He's done it all. He's a 4-time champion. He's one of the greatest players in the last 20 years. Greatest shooter of all time. His tier extension, let me see here. His contract is up at the end of this. We're talking about Steph Curry here, just tune in. And at 25-26. He has 2 years left. He's gonna make $55 million this year. He's 36 years old, gonna be turning 36 this upcoming season. He'll be 37, making $59 million, almost $60 million his last year.
Man, 37 years old.
I can see. It depends what they do. It's really interesting. Where do the Warriors go from here now? Like, I mean, I don't really know where
they're
they go.
rebuilding. That's really it. They just got to rebuild.
They got Andrew Wiggins, but it sounds like they're going to trade him. So they're going to get something for him. They got what's the young dude? Jonathan Kuminga's a nice young. He's probably their best young player, and I like him a lot. He's a good player. So they got Kuminga. Draymond is getting old, but you just signed him to a $100 million extension last summer. Why, I don't know, but they did. I get what Draymond does. Yeah, I get what he does for them as intangibles, and he's the point guard of the team. You have to keep him around, basically. But I don't know where they go now because Klay left. They wanted Paul George. They struck out on him. I don't know. I think it depends what they do. They have to make something happen by next summer.
It just reminds me of Kobe's last couple years, where
before
he retired, where he was just like, they're gonna the Warriors are gonna soft rebuild, maybe add a free agent here or there, but like for the most part, you kind of see the writing on the wall. Steph's gonna still be Steph, or as close to Steph as he can be, and just kind of walk off into the sunset after it's all said and done. That's where I'm at with that. I think he plays out the contract, or even he might even just play this year and say screw it and just opt out and just retire. But I think
Sports One says, "What's good, y'all? What's up? Welcome to the channel. Thanks for tuning in."
Welcome.
Sorry, Mike, we cut you up. Want to shout out the member there.
How dare you cut me off?
Hey, we had a new person in the chat. Welcome to the channel. Please subscribe, like, and share. Welcome on in. But oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah. No, I think this might be Steph's last contract, last hurrah. Just because I just don't see. I don't see the Warriors going anywhere.
Who the hell are they gonna bring in?
I don't think they can.
When's Giannis a free agent? I mean, Giannis has always been fascinated with Golden State. I mean, could he
Yeah,
go
but by
there?
no, because like, what are they going to give up for Giannis? Giannis signed
Well,
a
I'm saying when he's
Superman.
a free agent. When's his contract up?
He just signed that massive extension like last year. It's like
You're
a
right.
5-year
Yeah.
deal. I don't think
Yeah,
they got
so
that.
I don't see. I don't know. I think you're right. I think if I had to bet right now, I'd probably say it's a 6% chance he's got 2 years left and he retires. Because I don't think Steph's the kind of guy that's going to go play somewhere else.
No, he's a 1-man team, and why would he?
He's doing it
play
like Kobe. He's doing it just like
Yeah.
Kobe.
If you play somewhere else, like CP3, right? Like he's trying to still just win something. Or him going to San Antonio, I don't know if that's him trying to win something as much as it's like, okay, well, I've always wanted
$11 million.
There's that, and I think he always wanted to play for the Spurs. So
possibly, yeah, he wants to play with Wembanyama,
and then he wants to ride off into the sunset. That's our next Charles Barkley.
He's getting his $30 million from the Golden State Warriors. They said here's $30 million to leave, and then he got $11 million, so he's getting $41 million in 1 year. So he's doing fine. Yeah, he's probably just trying to sell off the sunset now. But I agree. I think Steph Curry is probably looking at retirement down the road. I mean, I don't know what else they do now. I mean, I don't know where they go. The people in the chat let us know. I mean, I just see him retire. I agree. I think the Kobe comparison's the right one. He's going to ride it out. He's with the same franchise. He's won 4 NBA championships. He got the Finals MVP. He's probably just going to retire in a couple of years. But it's a shame. It's crazy how this ended, though. It is kind of sad how this ended with these 3 guys. It was a dynasty the last 10 years. Yeah, it is kind of odd how it ended with Klay. I don't think they want it to end that way. Klay seems kind of bitter about it, so that's not a good thing. But here they are now. They got Draymond under contract for I think 3 more years or something like that, and they got Steph for 2 more years. So it's interesting what happens. But I think that Mike, what else is interesting as well is about all this is that the Lakers. Moving on to the Lakers part, I want to hit on the Lakers real quick. So obviously the Lakers, they got Bronny. They drafted him with the 55th overall pick. There was these rumors going around, Mike, from Woj and David McMenamin that LeBron's going to take a pay cut. Right? He's going to take a pay cut. They're going to go after Klay Thompson. They're going to go after James Harden. They're going to go after Jonas Valanciunas. Well, all 3 of those guys are all gone. Right? They're all signed. And then there was a report last night, right? LeBron called Klay Thompson, hit him up and say, hey, well, yeah, what's up, Klay? You want to come to the Lakers? And Klay Thompson's dad works for the Lakers, right? And everybody in LA last night, all Lakers fans are like, man, Klay's coming here. It's done. Like, we're going to get a steal. And Klay took less money to go to the Dallas Mavericks today. Okay. So now it comes out today that they're going to try to, maybe LeBron will take less money for DeMar DeRozan, said Brian Windhorst, and maybe some other guys. Your thoughts on DeMar DeRozan, Mike? Does he move the needle for the Lakers?
I like DeMar DeRozan a lot. I think he's a really underrated player, probably one of the most underrated players in basketball. But I don't know how many different times we can talk about the Lakers without Lakers fans getting mad. So I'm just going to tell it straight to Lakers fans. They're not going anywhere. The Lakers, as constructed, are never going to work, ever. Doesn't matter. Their bench is atrocious. LeBron is still amazing, but he's not freaking Superman anymore. The West is
40 years old.
Yeah, the West is as loaded as it's ever been. And I just don't see them going anywhere. You add DeMar DeRozan. Is it good enough to actually get them a playoff spot without struggling to try and get into the play-in? I think so. Does it get them much farther than that? No.
Do they beat Denver with DeMar DeRozan?
No. They don't beat Denver. They don't beat Dallas. They certainly don't beat Minnesota. They don't beat OKC. They're just, you have all these teams. You have these 2 amazing homegrown teams in Minnesota and OKC. You have Dallas, who has been adding pieces almost every year. And you still have up-and-coming teams that you don't know what you're going to get any given year in Sacramento and teams of that caliber. I just don't see it. I think I think the Lakers, I don't even think it's about basketball really so much for LeBron anymore. I think he's just happy to play with his kid, and that's about it.
Here's what's going on in LA, and I'm gonna break it down, you guys. Here's what's really going on. This is from other people on YouTube, like Carcino's broke it down. And when I spoke to somebody, when I shared on the show, Mike, I shared it with you privately. Somebody that Jersey and I know that has a good relationship in the family, is in the family, has a good relationship. And he told me 2 weeks ago that he wants his son on the Lakers. That was a thing. Because remember, Rich Paul said, Mike, they weren't a package deal and all that. And
he lied.
Yeah, he told me that was BS, and that LeBron and the Lakers are doing anything they want, are doing everything they can to get a team around LeBron and to keep him happy. Why is that? And that's because Jeannie Buss is not the richest of owners. Jeannie Buss cannot afford to lose LeBron right now because they've gone so far deep into this LeBron LA experiment for the last 6 years. And she's not the richest. And LeBron makes her so much money marketing wise because the league pumps money in the wherever LeBron is, even at 40 years old, the league's going to put money in that team because he's their marketing. He's the biggest, probably still their biggest marketing asset is LeBron.
Yeah.
People are going to tune in to watch him. So they're going to put money in the Lakers. She makes money from marketing, endorsements and stuff like that. And plus, if they make the playoffs, she gets money from that as a franchise. If they don't make the playoffs, they're in trouble. And so 2 years ago, then they make the playoffs. It was a big hit for the Lakers. She had to pay $6 million out of her own pocket to clean up the Russell Westbrook thing, just to get Russell out of there. Jeannie Buss had to pay $6 million out of her own pocket. She's not the richest of owners, Mike. She's probably maybe the poorest owner in the whole league. So, yeah, so there's that part of it. So she can't afford to lose LeBron. That's number one. But also the second thing, number two, is if you look at who runs the Lakers now, it used to be the Rameses. Kurt and Linda Ramos used to be more involved, right? But they've kind of taken more of a back seat. A lot of people think Kurt and Linda Ramos aren't the highest, and LeBron don't have the greatest of relationships. If you go look at when the Lakers selected Bronny in the war room, when they were in their little draft war room, I thought Kurt Ramos had the most unenthusiastic clap I've ever seen in my life. Everybody else is sitting there cheering, jumping around, high-fiving for Bronny.
He was golf clapping it.
He was sitting there golf clapping with his head down, not even smiling. And I'm just like, and it's already been known that they don't have the greatest relationships. That him and his wife, Linda, can't really stand LeBron a little bit. But, yeah, I thought that was interesting. And then you hear what James Worthy said, and James Worthy got caught on a hot mic. And James Worthy, who's a legend, works for the freaking Lakers local cover. How we have Bally Sports here in Cleveland and our shows with like Jeff Phelps and all. He works for them, their Lakers show on Spectrum out there in LA with Allie Clifton from Ohio, used to be our girl here.
Yeah.
He was caught on a hot mic recently. Did you hear about that?
I've heard about it. I don't know what was said.
I'm gonna see if I can pull this up. I'm gonna find it on YouTube. This is the great James Worthy on a hot mic. Talking about LeBron. And basically what James Worthy was referencing to was just how much of a shit show it is to him. And he was kind of like pissed too. He was kind of taking shots at like them taking Bronny at 55. This was like the week leading up to the draft. And I'm going to try to find it real quick. I think this is it right here. Give me 1 second. But he was caught on a hot mic. So you got the legend that works for the TV network on a hot mic trashing the organization, saying how much of a clown show it is. And then here's the thing, too, I want to hit on before I play this James Worthy thing. What's really going on with the Lakers? And what's really going on with the LA Lakers right now, Mike, is this. This whole LeBron James going to take a pay cut thing, that's complete bullshit. LeBron was never going to take a pay cut for any of these guys. What LeBron is doing is he's opting out of his contract. He's going to sign a 3-year, he's going to take the max, a 3-year, $162 million deal. That means by the time, Mike, when he's 42 years old going into year 3 of that deal, they're going to be paying that guy at 42 almost. They're going to be paying him almost $100 or $60-something million a year.
Jesus H.
You know how much of a financial cripple they're going to be in going to the year 3 of that deal with no trade, no picks, no nothing. You know much of you know how bad a position they're going to be in going in the year 3 of that deal.
Oh, that's insane.
They're going to be paying that guy almost $60 million. Now, why do I say the whole pay cut thing's BS? It's because, number one, he opted out because he is going to save them a little money. The Lakers have to save some money this offseason because they need they have to pay the lottery tax because they draft the lottery players. So they have to pay a little bit of the lottery tax, I believe it's called. They have something they have to pay, some tax, lottery tax, I believe it was said. And so he's taking a little bit less for that. But here's what the Lakers are going to do, Mike. And I know what their little game plan is, because if you look at who runs the Lakers, it's a bunch of people that really don't know basketball anymore. They don't have all the all-time Magic left. You know what I mean? The Rameson's taking a back seat. James Worthy's on a hot mic trashing them. They don't really have many like the Lakers royalty. It's Jeannie Buss now.
Jerry West passed away. God rest him.
Jerry West passed away. They ran him out of the organization, treated him like crap on his way out. The legend. Magic just said, "I'm out of here." After 1 year with LeBron. It's just Jeannie Buss and her friends. And go look at what Jeannie Buss used to write too, back in 2009 on her Twitter page. She's kind of very flirty with a lot of the players. Just leave it at that. Go look at some of her older tweets. They're on Reddit. There's a lot of them. Just go look at it. This is who runs the Lakers now. And so they don't really have many people running the show. I think it's Clutch Sports. They've completely infiltrated this franchise. And I think what's going on, Mike, is I think LeBron and Rich Paul 6 years ago just saw a bunch of people that don't know what they're doing and saw a great opportunity. I mean, what other way is there to put it? I don't think LeBron's ever had as much power, Mike, on a team than he does right now.
I agree with that.
Because even in Cleveland, he had pushback from Dan Gilbert at times, because Dan Gilbert stands up for himself. David Griffin at times, even, you know what I mean? In Miami, he definitely didn't have the power because Pat Riley said, "This is my way or the highway." He's never had as much power than he's had the last 6 years. He's never made as much money as he's made in the last 6 years in his career, which isn't a coincidence. And what they're going to do is they're going to go out like they have been, Mike, a lot of the years when he's been there, to go out and get these scrap, kind of junkyard, middle of the road kind of players that are mainly clutch clients. They're going to put them on they're going to sign them to the Lakers, and then the Lakers are going to go. Everybody's going to go into the season, like, man, we got a nice team like they do every year. And they get to the trade deadline, and what happens, Mike?
Nothing.
And we need to trade all these guys away. They all suck, and then they make all these miraculous trades. They basically bring a new roster at the trade deadline. It's like, all right, yeah, we back in it, y'all. We're gonna make a push for this. We're gonna win the West, right? We're gonna compete. And they get to the end of the season, they get gentlemen swept, or they get swept, or they don't make the playoffs. And now we need to fire JJ Redick. We need to fire the coach. It's the coach's fault, right? It's the same thing every year. And why do I bring up the clutch clients? You notice why they sign a lot of clutch clients. If LeBron wants to take a pay cut, who do you think really runs clutch, Mike?
Easily LeBron. I mean, he's their biggest asset. So
you think and that's not really Rich Paul. You think it's LeBron that really funds and operates the whole thing? I
think he at least has an extreme say.
He's a big part of it financially as well, right?
Yeah.
If the Lakers sign, the more clutch players they sign, anybody knows business, LeBron's gonna make money off the back end of that from the clutch clientele part of it. So the more clutch players they sign, the more money he makes on the back end. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so, of course, they're gonna go outside clutch players. The only big name guy I see them going after is Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine's a clutch client, and he does give them a little bit of a boost. He's an interesting name. He's a good player, borderline all-star at times. They need a scorer, and plus, the Bulls made that trade for Austin Reeves. They traded not Austin Reeves. They traded they traded Caruso for a bag of chips for Giddey. I think the Bulls maybe positioned themselves to make a deal to go maybe acquire an Austin Reeves kind of guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I could see that happening. But other than that, I mean, Miles Bridges available, another clutch client. I mean, it's the same script. I mean, here's the biggest question. When do you think we'll see Bronny out there playing starting point guard for the Lakers at one point next season?
I mean,
do you really think LeBron? You think JJ Redick's telling LeBron what's up?
No, I certainly don't.
I mean, come on. This is what's going on with the Lakers. This is how LeBron in the clutch sports they run the Lakers now, Mike. Point blank, period.
I don't doubt it.
I mean, who else would have hired a guy? I'm gonna pull this back up. Who else would have hired a guy that? What does that say there, Mike? You want to read that for everybody?
No. The JJ Redick's experience is that in 2023 and 2024 as a volunteer fourth grade boys head coach.
And he's now the head coach of who, Mike?
The Los Angeles Lakers.
And Sam Cassell's been an assistant coach and a champion for 15 years. So he couldn't get a consideration. But the Cavs, remember Stephen A. called out the Cavs for hiring Kenny Atkinson. Remember that because they hired Kenny Atkinson, who's a hell of a lot more qualified than JJ Redick. That's a whole other thing. But I mean, come on, man. This is such. Who else would have hired JJ Redick other than who runs the Lakers? Who really runs the Lakers?
Right.
And they know it too. I found it odd too, Mike. I got the James Worthy hot mic right here. I just found it odd too, Mike, that they knew who they were going to pick at the 55th overall pick. So here's the hot mic with James Worthy.
And then they got the right coaches in there. And so they did it right. They took their time. They waited. Well, we were trading Ingram, Randall.
Yeah, totally.
Trading everything. A Pope, gone.
Firing everybody.
The brother up in Sacramento, Malik.
Yep, everybody gone.
We were trading and then we wasn't getting anything for it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome.
And so that's one part of it. I'm gonna find the full thing, Mike. Let me find the full thing. But you already heard that piece there. You see, he was pretty pissed off. James Worthy's not having it at all with the Lakers. I think this is it right here. Okay, here we go. All right, I got the full thing, Mike. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So sorry, I got the full thing now. Here is Mr. James Worthy, kind of picking up where he left off there when you last heard him.
We were trading and then we wasn't getting anything for it. Westbrook, gone.
Everybody.
So that the ink will
Luke gone. Frank gone.
the ink will lead back to the problem, which is in that infrastructure.
That's kind of crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, I got you.
3rd and 5 years.
No.
If you want to go before that,
No,
you could go 4 and 8 because Luke was 3 years, right? Yeah.
It's all happening.
3 and 5 sounds crazier
It's
to
all
me.
happening when Phil came here.
4 and 8's a lot. Prez, we did the math. 3rd coaching hire show in 5 years.
What's up, B? How you doing?
And then 4 and 8 if you count Luke.
Good to be
Because that was
back,
3 years
man.
before that.
All week. Well,
16 was Luke.
and Thursday. Back to back.
It's too much.
Yeah, man. They don't need me for that.
Do you want me this close to Geet?
Who we gonna be waiting for in the second day?
Dude, just wait till you fucking have to talk about it that night. We're gonna be dying, dude. It's gonna hurt us.
Well, he's the greatest young player ever right now. Bronny, that's what I'm gonna say.
Wow.
Yeah, wow is the right thing. Your thoughts on that, Mike?
I think it's hilarious that he was like, I gotta talk about a second round pick. Like how they gotta sell it, and he's like, sure, I'll say whatever. This is what I'm gonna say.
But you know what he said there? He said, we know what the problem is. It's in the infrastructure. In that infrastructure, he said.
Yeah.
And they knew who they were going to pick. Everybody knew who they were going to pick. And so it just shows you what's really going on, what the problem is out there. Like he even referenced to. And this is the great James Worthy. I mean, he's an LA legend. One of the best forwards ever. And maybe, I mean, he's one of the best small forwards ever. James Worthy was a bad dude. And so that's what's going on out there in LA. There is no pay cut. They're not signing anybody. I think the best they can get is probably Zach LaVine. I don't see DeMar. I just think it's gonna be a clutch client, Mike. I just that's where I see happening. I don't think there's a real pay cut occurring. And Woj even said today too. It came out today from Woj a little bit ago. I have it right here on my phone. LeBron James could now take the full max contract with the Lakers since the franchise has struck out with top free agents. This is from Woj.
Good God.
Yeah, maybe Miles Bridges. Is that the big signing?
Maybe.
Tune in sports once says I do think JJ has a great basketball mind, but no real coaching experience. I really want to see how this plays out. I agree. I mean, here, yeah, JJ. When you listen to him on the podcast, holy crap, Jason Tatum has agreed to a 5-year, $314 million extension, Mike.
Oh, that's it.
314.
That's a
Damn.
lot.
I think that's at the highest ever. That's breaking news just now. They just paid Derek White. Then the owner said they're going to sell their team. He said, "I'm gonna pay everybody on the way out, and then I'm gonna sell the team."
No.
5 years, $314 million extension for Jason Tatum. Just now, breaking news from Woj.
Holy shit.
That's a lot of money. But anyways, what we? Oh yeah, JJ. Right. I think JJ. Yeah, he probably does have a great basketball mind, but I think a lot of guys know just as much as he does. Like Sam Cassell. I mean, Sam Cassell was a better player than he was, in my opinion. Not that JJ. I mean, JJ made a career for himself. He's a good shooter, but there's a difference between coaching and being a player. Coaching and knowing the game. JJ's not. It's like Udonis Haslam said. There's gonna be some what's that word? Cynicism in that locker room.
Yeah,
A cynical locker room.
Yeah.
Cynical. Excuse me. A cynical locker room, because guys are gonna start wondering: is this really LeBron, or is this really JJ's message? And he's got to know how to relate to players, how to manage, how to run practice, how to do a lot of things. And this came out before they even hired him. Several players reportedly don't like JJ Redick's attitude. This is from John Fano, who's he's been around a long time. This is when they were going for Dan Hurley, and that's what prompted them to reconsider hiring Dan Hurley, but because a lot of the guys didn't really want JJ Redick. And so it's gonna be really interesting to see. I agree. It's gonna be a hell of a thing to watch out there. That's gonna be the most entertaining team in sports next year.
Oh yeah, just
pure
entertainment
entertainment
surrounding it. Yeah.
Bronny, LeBron, JJ Redick coaching the team. I mean, it's gonna be something to watch next year. It's must-see TV because it can go really good or it can go really bad.
And that's exactly what they wanted.
I wanted Sam Cassell for the Cavs, but I really like Kenny Atkinson. Yeah, I agree. Sam Cassell should get a job in this league one day. He deserves a job. He should have a job for JJ Redick. That's my opinion, but I like Kenny Atkinson a lot. Kenny's been a head coach before. He's put his time in. He's been with the Warriors staff. I think what Kenny's going to bring, Mike, and I think you said this earlier, you understand now why they hired him. I think Kenny really checks a lot of what they want to do.
I agree.
So, real quick, before we get out of here, JJ didn't pay his dues like the rest of the guys around the league. No, he did not. He was what did it say there, Mike? I think I had it. Where was it? Oh, yeah. A volunteer fourth grade boys coach, and now he's the head coach of your Los Angeles Lakers. Supposed to be one of the biggest brands in all sports. I mean, what the hell is wrong with what is going on?
Roll Tide. I don't.
Oh my gosh, what is going on? But you heard it here first today. We broke down a possible trade scenario. Mike, I'm gonna give you before we get out of here, and anybody in the chat, percentage chance this trade happens on the screen. Brandon Ingram swap for Jared Allen.
I'm gonna still say 50-50.
50-50?
Yeah, everything's so up in the air right now with the Cavs.
I don't want to be bland, but I think you're right. I think 50-50 is right because I hear what Kenny wants to do. Here's how I see it. They're portraying it like they're keeping the core four.
Yeah.
But when I hear how Kenny talks about Evan Mobley, how he wants to utilize Evan Mobley today, and just we broke that down earlier, and kind of just why I think it's a better fit. You need a bigger win against Boston. You need a big to beat Boston. You need a big that can play inside and out, especially now against Philly, like I broke down earlier. It just makes more sense to me to get a wing that it can score the ball, create his own shot, could shoot. It's 6'8", actually a real legit wing size, not what we've had, which is a bunch of 6'5", 6'4" guys. I'm gonna say 50-50 though, but I think it's trending more towards they're gonna do it. Because I think they have to, especially with Paul George going to the East now. They got to make a counter move. Like they can't just say, "Oh, a coach is going to come in and solve it." Like,
right?
As bad,
I'm right there with you on that.
You can't say JB was that bad. Number one, I think JB did it. JB did the best job he could with who he. You can't just blame it all on JB. I don't think that's fair. I mean, the guy just got a second. He already got hired already. So he's some terrible coach. I mean, he's already been hired again. He got hired over the guy you were thinking about hiring to replace him, James Borrego. So because the Pistons Borrego's boy worked for the Pistons, and they said no, we want JB instead because JB fits probably a lot more boxes, but JB's not a bad coach, and so you can't just blame it all on him. Was it? You go back to the Knicks series, you go back to the Celtics series, you even go back to the Magic series. It took them 7 games. They were down 20 points, Mike, in that game 7. And Max Strus, the problem is it's a schematic problem and a roster construction problem because you're too small. You got Max Strus out there trying to guard Paolo Banchero, who's 6'10", 6'9". He's shooting over him like a chair. You saw what happened to the Celtics. He was almost unplayable at times defensively. You have to make moves to become bigger, longer, more athletic on the perimeter, and to maximize Evan Mobley.
I agree.
You got to put him at the 5, and I think you actually get more out of your guards as well. And so,
Yeah,
I see where they have to make this move. I mean,
I hope they do.
New Orleans has pretty much said, like it says here, they want. It says there at the bottom, from Jake Fisher, I believe, and they continue from Yahoo Sports, mentioning that Allen would likely be the piece that the Pelicans would want to be included. And I've read that in multiple sources, multiple publications that put that in their articles. They want Jared Allen. If you can get Brandon Ingram for Jared Allen, you got to get it done. Point blank, period. And like I said earlier, I throw out to replace Jared, maybe bring him off the bench, another big man. You got a guy like Walker Kessler, 22 years old, a lot of upside, was the runner-up rookie of the year 2 years ago. He's available. Well, they really like Isaac Okoro. So why not swap, bring back Isaac, or, pick up Isaac and bring him back and then trade him over for Mr. Walker Kessler. Now you got your center, and now you got your wing. Why not? It's just an idea, but you have to get this one done, I think.
Oh, I agree.
So, he said, look how the Knicks built their team. We have a small forward, haven't had one since LeBron, for real. Yeah, we haven't. We have not had a small forward since LeBron. Who's been our small forwards since LeBron left? Is Isaac Okoro, Chetty Osman?
I mean, we've just been kind of rotating guys in and out, trying to see if we could find something that works. Strus has been playing the small forward.
A 6'5" Max Strus, 6'5" Isaac Okoro, Chetty Osman. I don't know if he's even in the league anymore.
I think he plays for the Wizards.
Oh gosh. We had somebody else too. Alec Burks, was he our small forward for a hot minute?
Mm-hmm.
In that first, I mean, come on. JB going to improve the Pistons team. I think JB will do well with that Pistons team. He fits Detroit, the attitude, just like he did Cleveland. JB is a great coach for a rebuild. He's really good at that. He gets teams up defensively. He establishes a culture and attitude. Now JB has still yet to prove he can take a team all the way, but he hasn't been great in the postseason. Which is why the Cavs had to do what they had to do. But I do think it's a good thing out there at Detroit as well. So we'll have a fellow Detroit fan on soon. He comes on our show often, Mr. Chris Gergain. I'm curious to see what he thinks about that. We'll have to ask him about it, Mike. But Mike, you want to tell everybody? We had some good amount of people, new people tuning in today. Shout out to Tune In Sports One. Shout out to him for commenting today. New guy. We had some newer people watching today, Mike. You want to tell everybody we need to like, subscribe, and share?
Hey, like, subscribe, and share, because if you like shows or shows like this, it certainly helps us get into the algorithm, which is super important for content creators anymore. If you have any interest in sports, mental health, any of that good stuff, this is a great show to follow. And just so you know, we start to ramp up big time coming football season. That's my area of expertise. And Joseph also knows a lot about football as well. He's more plugged in with basketball. So by all means, give us a like, give us a share, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell if you're watching on YouTube, because that will notify you when new episodes drop. So please do all of those things. We'd greatly appreciate it, and we hope you tune in again.
Shout out to you. Had to show love to Cavs Nation. Shout out to
Hell
Cavs.
yeah.
We gotta give a round of applause for Cavs Nation. We got Kenny Atkinson in here. Shout out to the Cavs. But like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. We'll see you guys in the next one. And I'm saluting, Mark. Are you saluting?
I am saluting. And so is my dog.
We'll see you guys in the next one. We're out of here.
Later.